So, this is a very urgent message to Jocko down in San Diego. All right? I've been sending you messages. You, your good friend who's part of the podcast, I've been sending you messages regarding an urgent matter. Okay? A very urgent matter which affects every member of your gym. Let's see. Every member of your gym goes to doctors, and they have parents, okay? And they have family members, and they have grandparents. They're all going to the doctors. And so I sent you a link to my website, my YouTube channel, which shows a video of President Biden and Obama and 19 of the top leaders running the country saying millions of seniors are getting drugged with 16 drugs in bad combinations, which is poisoning them and killing them and bankrupting Medicare. And we really got to do something, you guys, or we're going to rue the day. Okay? So I've been sending that. You can see on my YouTube channel, it's been posted there for 11 years. Okay? And I've been communicating with our leaders. And all that's been happening to me and my family is a bunch of bad things. Millions of dollars stolen by Wells Fargo. My dad poisoned by Mormons at the local nursing home. Okay? The neighbors across the street who are Mormon, who belong to the same church as the people running the nursing home. Then when my dad is lying here for over a year, crippled, we're taking care of him, the neighbors across the street threatened to kill us for 3 months. While the preacher at the Mormon church is watching over the whole thing and advising them, because number 2 in the team across the street called me later and confessed the whole thing, and she's ready to tell her story. Okay, now my other neighbor's become a friend, and his uncle is at the same church. Okay, everything's been confirmed. The local Mormon church. Okay, there's a long list. Now my mother, her house in Austin is getting foreclosed on by the 2 super famous companies that own most of the stock in all the media companies, most of the stock in all the major drug companies. It's drugging all the people that I've been trying to disrupt, along with my dad, for over 20 years. Okay, so it's getting quite urgent for me to be able to just confirm, yes, I'm interested in helping to stop 22 veterans from killing themselves every day, as I told you in the other video. And I explained the whole thing that, the cure is in that book that I talked about in the previous video right here. So I'm going to be visiting with this guy, okay? He's ready to go, and I'm going to be driving down there with my 90-year-old mother, okay? Because like I told you in the other video, I grew up during the Vietnam War. I was born right before it, and my father was working at the Veterans Hospital, and for the next 10 years, he was seeing a steady stream of victims. And so what I learned from experience is that affects the whole family, okay? And so right now I'm dealing with not only that in our family, which has never been offered the cure, which is available in that book I just flashed by Bart Billings, okay? It's not available in the medical system. Our leaders are orchestrating giving everybody drugs. Okay, so Bart Billings went to Congress. He's been going to them multiple times. He's communicating with them right now, and they're still refusing to make the non-drug cure freely and available to all the veterans. See, what really needs to happen to make that right is the veterans are in charge of their own health care. Hey, here's what I need. Boom, you get it. I need this, I need that, I need that. Not a bottleneck, and we're gonna have to beg and plead, and half of you are going to throw out and say, sorry, you don't get what you need just because you didn't satisfy our checklist. Okay, it's not right. So the truth that they've been suppressing, which is right here in these books, these are the people that created the concept of post-traumatic stress that I've been communicating with since 2002, right after 9/11, when I met Dr. Charles Figley in person. Okay, so things are getting really desperate. It says right in here, now we just had 4 more deaths of people that were on my team, okay, because of the delays. So I tried to bring them all together a year ago. How many deaths since then? Let's see. Let's bring it together. Chuck Norris, because I went to get to school with his kids, K through 12. Mike Norris was in my Facebook group for the last year, inviting him to participate, communicating with his brother Aaron for over 10 years. I spoke to Eric Norris, his other son, 10 years ago, told him about everything. So, but there's been this communication problem. So he's a Vietnam veteran. Why did he die? Well, the big secret is he had a heart attack 10 years ago. Almost died, severe heart attack. Had to go on a long drive, maybe a helicopter flight. Almost died because it took so long to get to the hospital. So he kept it secret for the last 9 years. Now, I've been trying to invite them to join me in the healthy living program my father helped put on the map, the Pritikin Longevity Center, and the longest profitable healthy living program in the world, now in a Trump hotel on Miami Beach. And so, but we were going to team up with him, create a gym franchise kind of a thing, which my dad has been working on that idea for 40 years with Bill Galt, who was the founder of Good Earth Restaurants, and he also was the franchise genius behind Kentucky Fried Chicken. So, good friend of Tony Robbins. I was trying to bring Tony Robbins into it because I met him and my dad worked with him 30 years ago, right at the beginning, when he was getting started. But all these people I've been trying to bring together. So, but, Chuck Norris, okay, well, he had a heart attack. Well, that means that he had a problem. Heart attacks and cardiovascular disease, according to all these health experts in my library, is a symptom of chronic stress and post-traumatic stress. So he had some kind of a thing going on from his war experiences where didn't he have to kill people in the war? That's highly traumatic. Okay? So he never even spoke about that I know of. What was going on there? Okay, so he kept it secret that he had a heart attack. And then for the last couple of years, he's been going on an infomercial with his wife, hawking a total garbage supplement, making wild-ass claims that it can make you, rejuvenate you, extend your life, cure illnesses, and you don't have to do any exercise, and you can eat whatever you want. I can't even believe it still, even though I watched it multiple times. It kept popping up on my YouTube feed, this long infomercial where they, shame women for gaining a little bit of weight. It's really terrible. So, anyway, I tried to bring them all together a year ago with Bruce Perry, a good friend of Rob Reiner, and I was going to bring them all together. Been talking to, communicating with Tracy Reiner for 10 years. 10 years ago, I tried to bring her together and her mom. It was all going to happen, but then, unfortunately, Carrie Fisher died. Gary Marshall died. Day after Carrie Fisher died, her mom died, Debbie Reynolds. In Carrie Fisher, they found cocaine, heroin, and ecstasy. We were going to break the story that millions of kids are getting misdiagnosed as having a mental illness, like schizophrenia, and getting put on drugs like for ADHD, Ritalin, amphetamines, stress and a pill. So does it make sense to you? Kids are getting abused, and then they get stress and a pill, which causes them to lose their appetite and stunts their growth. Okay, the boy who was raised as a dog says, right in the beginning, when I was starting out my psychiatry internship, these kids would come in get diagnosed with schizophrenia, when actually they were severe abuse victims. Okay, so soon after that, he started working with Rob Reiner, created the I Am Your Child Foundation, and they did a big presentation at the Governors Association and a big event on TV with President Clinton, Arnold Schwarzenegger, maybe, a bunch of major celebrities, Billy Crystal, bunch of them, and saying, hey, you guys, if you treat post-traumatic stress and you treat traumatized children, you can solve violence, you can cure violence from planet Earth. Okay, I'm paraphrasing. Okay. That's what they said, though, if you condense it into 5 words instead of 500 or 5,000, whatever it was. So I put the key excerpts on my channel. So things are getting hot and heavy. I'll say this. Okay, I'm not going to go on much longer because my battery's about to die. Okay, but I got to go drive down to meet Jocko in person. Okay, and I got to call there, and I got to do everything I can to make sure he can respond, and I can make sure I'm really, really sure that he's saying, hell no, I don't want to have anything to do with this, and I don't even want to confirm that my emails got through to the congressperson, who's a good friend of mine. See, his friend, good friend, is the congressperson, Babin, in Texas. His co-host in his show on YouTube, the Jocko podcast, is the son. I got receipts from all of them. I talked to Jocko on the phone. I said, I picked you, I called you because you seem like an honest person who'd want to do the right thing. Just help me confirm that these communications are getting through. And the congressperson says, yes, I'll do something, or no, I won't. See, they've been stonewalling me for over 20 years. I got hundreds of receipts. I got dozens of witnesses. And I got it through to 5 presidents. 5 presidents. Okay. Carter, where's his book? Oh, I'm sitting on it. Okay. President Carter's book, see, the sign right here. I met him. I said, will you read my proposal for peace in the Middle East? Oh yeah, it says we want to communicate with those people over there, and I already started the process, and say, you know, our leaders are screwing everything up for us and making us miserable too. We'd like to team up with you over there, make some peace between us, and then we can share the peace dividend. It's worth a shot, don't you think? Jocko, instead of all these people dying over there and dropping all those bombs, what are you thinking about that war? How come you're not talking about it? Okay, President Carter. I met him, I asked him to read my proposal after I got Munib al-Masri, Palestinian billionaire, interested. Okay, when was this? It was 2010 when I talked to him. And this was 2010. Yeah, I got the billionaire in Palestine interested. Then a couple years later, I talked to, the Kabbalah guy, Michael Berg. And then I wrote him a long email and I said, I want to team up with you. I got this $1 trillion invention called Starlight, and I want to create a peace center. And at the UCLA, and we're going to bring attention to peace ideas. A company called Boeing ripped us off, is what I learned later. And President Clinton's cousin at NASA was involved for the last 32 years. Okay, I told all those stories in my other videos, and I showed you all the proof. So, the ice cream man and all, distractions. Okay, this is a low budget production because these people have been blocking this information from getting onto the medical system for a long time. Okay, now they threw another monkey wrench a few days ago. They're foreclosing on my mom's home. So 6 years ago, Vanguard and BlackRock bought the mortgage company, PHH Mortgage, and they started foreclosing on veterans. Texas Attorney General Paxton sued them and won millions of dollars. Said you got to stop trying to foreclose on veterans. Then they tried to foreclose on my mom for just sneak attack, technicality. Oh, you're foreclosed. You're in foreclosure. You had to fight it and fight it and fight it. You got out of it. Now they're trying again. They changed the name of the company. We got a big letter. Oh, you're in foreclosure. You're behind on your taxes and a month, and we were going to pay it, but you're not here, and you're supposed to be a resident of your home. Oh, well, I've been in California taking care of my ex-husband because he got crippled by bad drugs. Okay, they don't care. So now they threw a monkey wrench. Okay, so my mom, her blood pressure went up really, really high, okay, that day she found out. And she's calling all around. Now she feels like she has to do an emergency flight out there in order to satisfy the local tax board, who's also requiring her to be there in person. 90 years old. They don't care what's going on. All right, so it's a bunch of criminals. So I really got to know, are you going to stick with the criminals, Jocko? Okay, it's getting really urgent. If I got to drive down there with my mother and Barb Billings, I saw that lady on your show, and there was, for a whole year, she was trying to get a hold of you, and nobody wanted to talk to you. And, she wanted to talk about PTSD. She talked about it for a whole show. And then somebody character assassinated her and screwed it all up and pulled down that show, which was all about PTSD. I find that really weird. Somebody character assassinated her, and they succeeded. And then she spent a whole year completely, traumatized, and a bunch of people, started bullying her too and quitting and cutting her off. Over a dozen people. And yet she called 10 different people, and nobody would get a hold of you. Your friends. And she said they were scared? What are they scared of? You're going to give them dirty looks? Stern looks? Okay, you don't seem like the kind of person to go off and get crazy. You don't seem dangerous and scary to me at all. Okay, I'm not scared of going down there and talking to you. You're not going to do anything. You don't do anything. You're a nice guy. So what the hell? Why are they scared of you? What's this communication problem that we're having with our leaders? And then you can't even, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Hey, I got this information, Chris. It looks terrible. I don't have anything to do with it. Or, Chris, I took an oath to the Constitution, and all your rights are being violated, and that of all of our seniors. Okay? It's easy to stonewall one person, especially when they're 1,000 miles away. It's harder when you got a group of 10 with you. And it's even harder if you got somebody with 2 million followers and a YouTube channel who wants to publicize the fact that millions of kids are going hungry right now. Our leaders are turning a blind eye. And so are you. Why? I want to know why. I want to ask, why is Jocko turning a blind eye on the veterans? And now, Chris Kyle, his friend, got killed because he got misdiagnosed with schizophrenia. And now, Eddie Ray Ralph is stuck in jail for 10 years for the rest of his life because of somebody gave him a bunch of bad, crappy drugs. People like this. He was begging and pleading Congress before it happened. He went to Congress before it happened. All right. I talked to Eddie Ray Ralph's parents, and I told them I was going to try to get the whole thing cleared up. It's not right for you guys to turn your back on all the veterans who are now getting misdiagnosed and shortchanged and given a bunch of crappy drugs when all they have is toxic stress from bad experiences that they need to talk about and come together in a team, friends, to work on healing. That's the cure. If you pay and let the veterans have what they need to be cured, it's going to create hundreds of thousands of jobs for veterans instead of they're sitting around homeless. I went up to the homeless thing up by UCLA. Have you ever been there? I met Forrest. Forrest was his name. And he told me his story, and I told him I was working on helping the situation. So I tried to bring together Shad Mashad right down the street. He was in a MASH unit in Vietnam with Dr. Charles Figley, who wrote this book. So they created the concept of post-traumatic stress. Jane Fonda helped out a little bit, or a lot actually. She was the only celebrity as far as I could tell. Helped get PTSD on the map. They couldn't ignore her. Set aside what the other thing she did, which is try to stop the war. A rotten war, which was all those poor Americans were forced to go there. Some of them volunteered. Okay, they thought it was a good thing. Okay, I don't want to degrade them because really, knowing the whole truth is the healing answer. The truth can make you free and heal you. Okay, so I'm looking to break the log jam, and it's becoming, I got 10 guns to my head. Okay, the financial problems they've created for me, and the family members who are still affected by post-traumatic stress, and they've never been told the cure publicly, is creating an emergency situation here where I have to go down there and drive for 2 hours to visit Jocko and find out, and pass out my information to 100 people in front of his building if that's what it takes. Every single person going inside and out of that building is going to get the message, okay, that I'm asking Jocko for help, okay, to save our seniors. New Planet Tech. That's my YouTube channel. youtube.com/newplanettech. That's one of them. Okay, you can confirm everything that I'm saying. So, if I don't run out of time here, I've got to read a little bit of this book. There are many, we need to let our light, the light of civility, respect, and fairness, shine before the world. It starts by brightening the corner where you are, even in the face of adversity and dark times. Let's be honest, it won't be easy. It's not easy. It gets discouraging just seeing how darkness has prevailed over our land. Everything seems to tell us that we can't win. We're not good enough, strong enough, valiant enough, good-looking enough, worth enough, rich enough, or tenacious enough to overcome. I used to hear those voices all the time when I was trying to break into the movie business at 34 years of age. So, it will take faith to overcome. It will take courage. It will take us to be united. It will take time, but it will take us remembering who we are. There are many young people who need our help. They need to find their way home to God, to the founding fathers, to love of country and the opportunity America offers. We need to reach out and help them from the dire situations so many find themselves in. Not turn their back on, right? We need to spend more time with them and understand the worlds they are in, and help lead them to the world of the patriots in yesteryear and show them how their concerns parallel those of our founders. We need to assist them in their battles against the waves of enemies in this life and provide emergency rescue help to spare them from the onslaught of often overwhelming dark conditions. So, millions of kids are going hungry or getting abused now. I keep hearing about the Epstein thing, and I hear very little from the victims. But what little's coming out, and the lawyers that are surrounding them and hurting them this way and that, and weaponizing their testimony against each other, like the Clintons, okay, instead of talking about the hundreds of thousands of kids that are stuck in the exact same situation right now, and how to free them. So one of the super key figures in that whole movement is Dr. Lois Lee, who I personally met and spent some time with 40 years ago. Okay, Children of the Night, she's the founder. One of the earliest child rescue kids that are and teens that are stuck in prostitution here in Hollywood. So she used to walk the street with her volunteers, tracking them down and giving them a phone number and rescuing them, getting them off the street. My dad would help take care of them as a doctor when they needed health care. So I've already been communicating with her over the last few years. She's part of Epstein Truth with a couple celebrities and a couple of the victims of Epstein and the lady that was involved in blowing the whistle on Boys Town and the Franklin scandal, which is about our leaders supposedly in the CIA trafficking kids and kidnapping them from the foster care system and turning them into child prostitutes to trap and, all kinds of, politicians and stuff. Exactly what Epstein was doing. Okay, so, excuse me. Okay, so then after she tried to blow the whistle 40 years ago, this lady that's part of that got prosecuted herself and spent a few years or more in prison because she, as a victim of such behavior, tried to go to the authorities. Okay, so now I'm going to be reconnecting with them and providing the opportunity to connect the dots. So, a good friend of mine from a long time ago was in the CIA under JFK. He enlightened me when I met him in the 1980s. So over the next 20 years, I got to know him. He enlightened me about what's really going on in those circles. Okay, and so I'm bringing everything he told me into the whole enchilada for a big enchilada eating party. So I can tell I'm getting interrupted right now. So let me try to finish up really, really fast. All right. I am about to get interrupted. See, everybody in our family, our friends, etc., they factor into our success, our mood, our stress levels, okay, because these things are contagious. Do I have contagious books here? No, I don't. A bunch of books that say stress is contagious. All the stress experts, all the post-traumatic stress experts. So that's what I've been learning from my life experiences. So when you ignore these millions of kids that are going hungry, then they suffer, they go to school, things are different for them. The minority of them become bullies, like the Uvalde shooting in Texas. Over 20 kids killed by a kid who got bullied for 10 years. And then, right before he was going to graduate, instead of getting help, the school people, kicked him out. And he went and got a gun and killed over 20 people. Okay? Take note of this story because almost 10 years earlier, I testified to the Texas State Senate in 2008, and I told them that kids are getting bullied and misdiagnosed as having ADHD and then put on drugs. And I mentioned the Forgotten Children Report, which is the last thing I'm going to tell you about. So the Forgotten Children Report was put together by Carol Keaton Strayhorn, who was the comptroller of Texas. In 2003, she sent it to her sons, who were in the White House. Okay, and the Forgotten Children Report said kids all over Texas are getting misdiagnosed as having a bunch of mental illnesses and put on a whole bunch of drugs, when in fact they're just getting abused. They left hell and now they're getting shuffled around in abusive situations, and we got to put a stop to this. So she sent it to her son in the White House, who's running the FDA. Then in 2003, I contacted their father, her ex-husband, Bar McClellan. I talked to him, told him everything I was working on. He got my dad's book into the White House. In 12 weeks, you can control your high blood pressure without drugs. UCLA professor of medicine. At the same time, I was trying to connect with Dean Ornish, get him involved. Where's his book? He was President Clinton's doctor, President Obama's doctor. Okay, so Bar McClellan got all that in the White House, plus the information about Starlight, which is another story. They all slammed the door. Mark McClellan. Dr. Mark McClellan got moved over to run the FDA and Medicare and Medicaid, which is funding the overdrugging of children in foster care all over the country. And they all slammed the door. But I'm still talking to Bar McClellan. You can talk to him. Okay? He still wants to help. He's going to get us back in the door to his sons. I'm going to try to find out WTF happened, guys. Okay? WTF happened. All right? So, long story, but I'm going to cut it short. So, Erwin Pardue was his name. He was in CIA under JFK, CIA liaison to JFK. He was involved in the Vietnam War. 1969, brought the first Paris Peace Agreement back to the White House. And the generals told him, hell no, we can't do that. It'll ruin our economy. That's what he told me. Okay, so he introduced me to Chaplain Barber, who gave me this New Testament Bible, pocket version. I read it cover to cover. You can see all my sticky notes, everything in here. Okay. See his signature. His family can confirm it. That's his signature. All right. I read it. I was doing all this research at UCLA into post-traumatic stress. That's when I found all these books. Copied hundreds of studies. Then I filmed 11 hours of video with Chaplain Barber in 2003, where I went through all this research and I launched the mission. The mission is about global healing by revealing to the world the secret answer to global healing. Wow, information. Good news travels fast, bad news gets blocked. Zachary Levi has the same idea and the same mission. After he almost, he had a nervous breakdown. He wanted to kill himself after he left Hollywood. Okay, moved to Texas, bought a 60 acres where he wants to build a healing ranch, and felt like he wanted to kill himself after quitting smoking, alcohol, and leaving all of his friends and his girlfriend, and he's alone in Texas. He went into a healing program for 3 weeks, learned all about post-traumatic stress, dealt with his very violent, abusive, difficult childhood. Not sure if there was violence. Very difficult. His mom had a major problem. Severely traumatized mother taking out on kids. Okay. After he went through the program and healed partially, he wrote this book and he shared right in here, if we can, I'm not an expert therapist, pastor, teacher, or monk. I'm merely a person going through my own mental and emotional health journey, hoping that I can pass on some of the wisdom and tools that I've been blessed enough to learn along the way. And I truly believe that if we can help heal the hearts and minds of everyone on earth, we will solve every other problem known to man in the process. I did my calculations, and it's not every other. It's almost every single one. Please tell me what we can't solve if people are not going totally cray-cray from coast to coast and all around the globe. Okay, so bad news is this, and then it's followed by good news. So this guy right here knows exactly what's going on, so we got to talk to him and say, hey, cut it out. All right? It says right here, 3 months after 9/11. Okay, 6 months. September 11th was a traumatic experience. Page 149. The idea that terrorists are willing to kill a large number of innocent civilians and kill themselves in the process shocked all of us. We don't get shocked by these things today, do we? It's like, oh yeah, no, this is just like TV. I've been watching this shit all the day, every day, day in and day out. Okay, it's entertaining. All right? Fun. All right? Gets the adrenaline going. Yay. So it shocked all of us. The attack was incredibly audacious, and its effects surpassed even the perpetrator's expectations. They were shocked, I'm sure. Osama. Television brought the event into people's homes, and people were terrorized. The illusion that the United States is invulnerable was shattered. A traumatic event of this kind affects people on two levels, the instinctual and the rational. Instinctual and rational. If the trauma is strong enough, the two levels become temporarily disconnected, or permanently. He forgot to add. With the passage of time, reason regains the upper hand, but the memory remains. Sometimes. Our view of the world has been shaken, and we are actively engaged in rearranging it. And this creates a tremendous opportunity. Unusual opportunity to reassess the role that the United States plays in the world. Okay, we can reorganize everybody's thinking. Throw in a blender, throw in some, spice it up a little bit, add a little sugar. All right? All right, I'm telling you, they said it a bunch of times. This is an opportunity. Okay. Sorry about the facial gestures. Okay. I'm developing a twitch. All right. I think it's the stress. All right. So, anyway, Karma, please, Taylor, we need your help. All right. Oh, wait. She got her thing back. All right. I was going to try to get it for free. Okay. Because I know a hell of a lot more about this guy. So, in fact, let's see, it was him or Kissinger. No, Irwin told me, I'll tell you two last things before I got to go. Okay, what Irwin Pardue told me is that, Osama bin Laden, he met him in 1979, all right, here in Los Angeles, at my friend Judy Lira's house, who he introduced me to. Judy Lira, really interesting lady with red hair, and when I went over to her house up in LA, she had these pictures up on the wall of her with these princes in Saudi Arabia. And so she was friends with the Zadari Seven, which is the princes right below the king. And so she was the connection to Osama bin Laden in the Middle East. And so Irwin told me that he met Osama bin Laden at her house. That was before he died 20 years ago. And then 5 years ago, 8 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, Osama bin Laden's widow and son wrote their autobiography, or ex-wife, and she said that in 1979 she came to the United States with Osama bin Laden, and he flew to Los Angeles, but she didn't know what he did there. Okay, so I know what he did there. That was when the CIA recruited him, so my friend was involved. Okay, so he told me other things, like when I went to visit him right after 9/11 in Los Angeles, he said, "Oh, George Bush was here a few days ago in a limousine, and he wanted to talk to me." Okay, so there's a number of people that are alive today, like Irwin's brother. He's got a law firm in Georgia. You can look it up. All right. Multiple people that can confirm this, okay? Multiple people. Somebody out here who's connected to a bunch of celebrities that I know. Okay, but here's the important thing here. Okay, George Chaplain Barber gave me this New Testament. It's the same one that he gave to all his men when he got on their boats, and then they went over to D-Day, and then they passed these out, and the men were reading them on the trip across the ocean. Okay, and then a bunch of them died, and then he walked the beach with all the bodies and blood, and it was New Testaments. Okay, and he picked out the burial spot, helped that, and helped bury them the next day or later. Okay, so this is everything he told me, and it's all in the videos, 11 hours on my YouTube channel. So, but we used to go around. I used to go around with him to some events where I met, like, for example, Royce West, congressman, right after 9/11. All he could talk about was kill, kill, bomb, bomb, bomb. Let's see. All right. So he used to pass out this card right here. Colonel George Russell Barber, U.S. Air Force retired, chaplain 3 wars. Joplin Barber, right here. There's his card. His granddaughter is Barber. She was in Full House, that TV show, I think. Um, she's a famous actress. Okay. It says on the back, this was his mission, and this is my mission that I launched with him. I took, his mission for decades. As part of World Vision, he was there at the beginning. Hope, food, water, shelter, health, education, peace, security, freedom for the world. So we went to this event, and he gives out these cards to everybody and tells them about his story, just strangers, randomly, at restaurants. So we went to this one event, and the valet parked his car, and when we came out after the event, he brought the car, and he gave him the card. Joplin Barber gave him this card, and the valet looked at it and read it. He read this list here, and he said, "There's one thing missing: love." So soon after, Joplin Barber made a new card, and right there he added love on the top. Okay, Joplin Barber was a really interesting person. For some reason, well, for a lot of reasons, he was really angry at the Democrats. He was all Republican. Just go on and on about the Democrats. He just is so angry at them. He was also angry at Martin Luther King for some reason that I never uncovered. Okay, so love is missing, anger. Okay, the two sides were just constantly at war, and he was totally sucked into it and consumed by it. All right, and then I questioned him on it, and he said, "Well, yeah, I love the Clintons, but I don't like them." I swear he said that. All right, so he was all Republican. So Hillary Clinton, I'm going to get to that in another video. Okay, I got a message for her. Okay, we're going to try to make peace with our leaders. Like I said, I've gotten into 5 presidents, and I got witnesses almost every time. But, some people liked it, some people didn't. Some people shot me down, and there's no way around it. They can't ignore a team. They can ignore one person, 2 people. They've been ignoring this poor guy, and he's still in great health now. Okay, so now the consequences just keep getting worse. Now Rob Reiner's son, I tried to bring the whole family together 4 or 5 years ago. I talked to Tracy. I said, "Tracy, Rob Reiner knows Bruce Perry. Bruce Perry knows the cure for post-traumatic stress. I want to do this documentary." Bruce Perry did a book with Oprah called What Happened, which is all about the cure. The cure starts with what happened. So millions of kids that are going hungry, they're all getting ignored instead of finding out what's going on with you. We got to get you food. The school lunch people are getting fired. Just Google it. If they feed behind the administrator's back. The teachers are striking all over. They have no idea that the kids are the canary in the coal mine. And they are dying and killing each other because they're getting ignored en masse. I just want to ask Jocko. I'm going to ask him in person. I'm going to ask everybody that goes in and out of that place. Is Jocko ignoring me? Is he ignoring all those kids and 22 veterans that are killing themselves every day? Okay, what's going on? I need an answer. The lady on your show, she said, I waited. It took me 1.5 years to reach you. I called your wife. She wouldn't talk to you. She wouldn't respond. I called 10 of your friends. They were all scared of you. And they're Marines and they're MMA people, fighters, and they're scared of you, of asking your question and facilitating the communication. That deserves some investigation. Okay, America, are we free? Are we Americans? Are we Americans? Freedom. If you're not free to talk, we're too scared to talk. We're too scared to listen. We're too scared to look into things. We're too scared to consider new ideas. And then people tell themselves, "Oh, well, It's a hassle. I just don't want to be hassled. No, I think it's fear and toxic stress overload. And I'm going to get to the bottom of it. Okay? So he's dead because he ignored his symptoms. Symptoms of post-traumatic stress. He had a heart attack, which is a symptom of post-traumatic stress. He kept it secret. He didn't try to find out why he had a heart attack. I tried to get him involved in our program over the last 10 years with all these post-traumatic stress experts so we could share the cure with all the veterans. Then on his birthday, just watch his videos on his Facebook. I'm friends with his son Mike on Facebook for the last over 10 years. His sons remember me really well. There was a rivalry going between the kids. Okay? And right on his birthday, he was overexerting himself. And then he had some kind of a fatal event. So now everybody's traumatized. Mike Norris left my group, which was about, and his mom died from Alzheimer's 3 or 4 months ago. Well, I was trying to bring the whole family together with Dr. Dale Bredesen. He's an advisor he's on Maria Shriver's End Alzheimer's Foundation. Been talking to him for 4 years. They have a $40 million grant at UCLA. I talked to him. I talked to the guy at UCLA who controls it, Dr. David Merrill. I talked to Dr. Greg Cole, who's also involved. He was the interim director of the Mary Kay Easton Alzheimer's Dementia Clinic at UCLA. They have 1,000 patients. Dr. Dale Bredesen was supposed to treat those patients with the cure, with healthy living, exercise, and healing traumatic experiences. There's a whole chapter on adverse childhood experiences. So Bruce Perry, I communicated with him in 2008, my emails, the same year I went to the Texas State Senate, and I said, Bruce Perry, do you know that post-traumatic stress is causing all these physical and mental illnesses, and millions of kids are getting misdiagnosed with all kinds of mental illnesses, ADHD, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia? He emailed me back. He said, Chris, I'm well aware of this. I'm working on that. You should check out the ACEs studies, adverse childhood experiences, and I will look into your stuff and talk to you soon. Follow up. Okay, so I've been communicating with Bruce Perry. That's 18 years now. And his staff, I don't know what's going on. They seem to be giving me the runaround. Okay, and then over a year ago, I talked to Shad Mishad, created the concept of post-traumatic stress. Tried once more to bring them all together. I said, Shad, you've never gone on camera with your friends who created the concept of post-traumatic stress and talk about what the cure is and talk about that the drugs in radical, terrible combinations don't work, which is standard operating procedure in the VA, and that the labels are just totally made up. They're actually false because schizophrenia and all those things are caused by post-traumatic stress. 20, 30, 40, 50 different studies that prove that. I'll just mention two. Professor John Breer at USC wrote those studies where he went into the mental hospital and he surveyed everybody. Well, they're all super traumatized. Just like Rob Reiner's son. Sexually abused as a child by his dad. Sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Billy Crystal's on camera admitting it. Just watch the Rob Reiner roast. So's that comedian who became a senator, Al Franken. In the Rob Reiner roast, they both said it. As if it was a joke. Okay, and I've got more evidence for that, which I'm not even going to talk about right now. Okay, so let's see. Last thing here. The only question that remains is, will we bear the baton of liberty and pass it on to another? The baton of liberty. The baton of liberty. The liberty, when you find a cure or solution, get it in the news and it goes out there and everybody gets it. It's not there. Liberty just to call somebody up and you get a response. Not people aren't just terrified and afraid to respond. Okay? People are living in fear. Will we remind others of the grand old story about Old Glory, fighting for freedom? Or will we forget our history and who we are as a nation? We already forgot. Will we wallow in affluence and lose our memory of freedom? Jocko and you guys, you look all happy. You're sharing some great ideas, but you really should have 1 billion views. If you share some really great information, you could have billions of views. Taylor Swift does it all the time. Okay? So we're going to be working with her. So I've gotten connected to a group of 10 celebrity men and 10 celebrity women that are all looking for healing from this condition, toxic stress overload. And they've been taking a stand for peace too. They're citizen diplomats. All right? One of their friends is Paris Hilton. She went to Washington twice now to try to free the kids. And I'm about to team up with her because I know some of her best friends that I've been talking to for over 10 years and I've known for 35 years. So people that are connected to her. So, Hollywood people. So, I plead with you to pass on the baton of freedom, to do what you can in your family and neighborhood to expand an appreciation of what America is and should be. We are so far off. Killing in the name of Jesus Christ? I'm sorry. Okay? Number one is the 10 Commandments, guys. I'm sorry you guys got dragged off to war. That was a baloney war. Okay, I got the inside word, if you wanted the truth. Okay? But there's a way to turn that into a badge of honor, which is by doing the right thing with the information, which is what you took an oath to do. Okay, you can go from wherever you are to superhero. Okay, I honor all and I appreciate all veterans, whether or not they were in a war that was just or not. Okay, but the way to do that is to get them the help they need so they're not killing themselves because nobody will help them. So Chris Kyle tried to do the right thing. The only reason why it went totally crazy is because there was a misdiagnosis of schizophrenia. Okay, and there's been a logjam in active efforts to block that information from the public consciousness. And I'm a first-hand witness to that for over 20 years. And I got 30 or 40 or 50 witnesses who can testify to it. So they're all coming together, but we need your help. So we can no longer passively sit back and just criticize government officials. We must fight for a Bill of Rights, or we will most assuredly lose them in a system of bureaucratic control. That's the situation. So, tyranny is always better organized than freedom. Charles Peguy said, "Boy, is that the truth!" Exclamation point. The question still stands. Are we willing to sacrifice to assure not only our freedom, but the freedom of future generations? Patrick Henry asked a similar question. Is life so dear or peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? I'm aiming to find out if Jocko and his friends are all in on this, which I'm sure is totally impossible, or if they're just awkward with calling up his dad and saying, hey, Dad, did you get this information that Chris Bennett sent you? It's about millions of seniors getting poisoned and millions of veterans getting poisoned with bad drugs and not being given the real solution which they need. So again, I got lost in the story, but I tried to set it all up over a year ago with Shad Mashad. Called him on the phone right here at the LAX. He's got a National Veterans Foundation with Oliver Stone and Martin Sheen on it. My advisor, who I've known for 35 years, who's been helping me for 20, marched with Martin Sheen 20 years ago to stand up against the Iraq War because they felt that it was the wrong way to go. And they got arrested. David Wilson. Okay. He also got Ed Asner on the board in 2003. Ed Asner marched with them too. He got arrested. You got Ed Asner on board. Ed Asner's right here in this poster. See, all these people are 100 celebrities. Over 100 celebrities who been on missions when I put this together in 2006 actually. Okay, so I've contacted and talked to, gotten my proposals to about a third of these people. Reached them. They got involved somehow. Okay. Narrowing it down, who are the real people that are sincere, that are really in it to win it? Okay, because there's one way to win, like I said in my other video. There's only one way to win. Where there's a will, there's a way. Where there isn't, it's hopeless. So all of our problems are hopeless because there's no will to find a way and make one. And you know, the way for us is very, very cushy. You guys can sit on your couch. You got your beautiful, gym, your beautiful podcast. You're doing fine. You got a beautiful wife and kids, beautiful house. Okay, you live in comfort. Who's gonna come in there and assassinate you? There's no Nazis down the street on the corner. You know, the French were made fun of by Jay Leno 20 years ago after 9/11, or somebody did. Like, because apparently, they didn't like stand up in mass when there was tanks and machine guns on every corner. Look at the average American. Okay, they're just uninformed. They don't want to know anything. What little they know, they don't want to do anything about anything. They're basically scared and terrorized, which I'm not making fun of. That's the end result of George Soros's thing, which is every 20 years we got a major catastrophe that they fuck something up. And then we all get traumatized. So after World War II, 5 years later, my parents grew up during World War II, okay, when the entire country was terrorized. Worse than 9/11, I think. So, right after that, the Rockefeller Foundation did a study with University of Colorado. And they wrote this long study. It's in my 100 pages of research. And they concluded we really need to educate the entire American population about the impact of war on their psychological functioning because it's causing all kinds of problems. I don't remember all the jargon they used back then, but depression, addictions, I don't know if they even went into all the details, domestic violence, anger, suicide. Okay, so we really better educate all Americans. 1950s, and they didn't do it. Okay, a few years later, my great uncle, professor at Yale University, jumped out of the high tower at the library and killed himself. Very traumatic for my dad and our whole family. So a few years later, my dad's father also died in an accident. They thought it might be either suicide or an accident because he was careless, extremely careless. Major impact on my dad. Okay, but bottom line is this. Okay, if you don't start learning about these things and do exactly what the Rockefeller Foundation decided that we need to do, you just keep snowballing and adding layers upon our psyche. As the creators of the concept of post-traumatic have been saying for a long time, the body keeps the score. Now, I've been emailing all these authors for 20 years, meeting with them in person, getting receipts, but so far, it's like weird. The world is controlled by robots. Okay? So it's got to change. Because you guys are so close down in San Diego, Jocko, it's going to be easy to go down there. But I've been under a lot of stress, and so driving 2 hours is difficult. Okay, but now I got a lot of interest at UCLA, and I'm trying to connect the dots here. Okay, we need to take a stand. Is there anything else here? Super critical. Okay, this Bible, you must be Christian. Okay, all the religions, it's an amazing thing. You know, they're all in conflict for all these years. In truth, I figure out a way to change your perspective where you can see where they all fit together and they could all get along. Let's see. Jesus was Jewish. He wanted to heal everybody and get everybody on the right track and help us all get living by God's plan. Okay? And then Muhammad, he studied Jesus and he believed in Jesus. I've been hearing that from all the Muslims. Wow, why are they all in conflict? Well, I was going to make all those points, okay, in my project starting over 10 years ago, and we're still going to do it. So we're pulling it all together. I'm going to get Paris Hilton and a bunch of celebrities on board that they want to heal, and then together in a group of 10 celebrity friends, men friends, 10 celebrity women friends, going on a healing journey for a month, and they're going to share the cure and with the whole world. Because there's one thing that we all have in common. We're all human. The exact same kind of nervous system, which for all of human history has been overloading with toxic stress. Okay? You think things are bad now? Just look back in the history book here. All right? But what it says in here, it's 1111. Paris Hilton's company is called 1111 Media. You know what I think that's about? Revelation 11:11. It's all about global healing. The people who are dead in sin. See, Billy Graham said it in the 1950s in his book, Peace with God. The biggest problem on the planet is sin. It's the cause of all wars, the cause of all violence, the cause of all addictions, the cause of all mental illness, the cause of all physical illness. Because sin enters in you and you die. You develop psychic numbing. So when you're exposed to sin, death, murder, destruction, fear, anger, deprivation, suffering, hunger, that's sin in its most despicable forms. It causes toxic stress overload and severe psychic numbing from which you cannot recover except with radical good news therapy. So bottom line is this, that is the cure. Good news therapy. So if we make peace with our enemies, if we change the channel to love, radical love, making peace, getting along with people, sharing the wealth so that millions of kids are not going hungry, our stress can come down in the whole human population. Okay? What I found out is what a lot of these post-traumatic stresses people want to ignore. They know that stress is contagious. They admit it. They know post-traumatic stress is contagious because misery is contagious. But they're not admitting when you have a global epidemic in 8 billion people that's been lasting for all of human history, there's only one solution, which is a thorough informing of the public globally. And that's about to happen with your help. Okay? Because all it takes is 10 celebrity men and 10 celebrity women, like Paris Hilton, Taylor Swift, Gigi Hadid, Bella Hadid, Zachary Levi, Chris Pratt. Okay, all these people are good people. I've been monitoring all these people. I've been picking out the good people. I gave all my proposals to Robert Kennedy a year ago. I got a picture with him, and Martin Luther King's adopted granddaughter, Angela Stanton King. She agreed to help. All right. She was put in jail when she was pregnant, where she gave birth, chained up. Then she went to Donald Trump and got him to pass a law to stop that. Okay, that's the kind of action we need. She was working alone. All right. People like that need help, and we have a to-do list of things that need to change right now, starting with the veterans and starting with the seniors getting poisoned. Oh, and guess what? Okay, I told this guy at the Berry Law Firm, all right, a veteran of the Iraq War. Okay, he's part of the Berry Law Firm. The founder, Mr. Berry, his dad was actually the founder. He's a veteran. His phone number's right here. I called him on the phone. I said, hey, you're a veteran. What do you think of this idea? We're spending $5 trillion a year on sickness care, over-drugging seniors and veterans. If we spend $1 trillion a year on healthy living solutions, it'll create jobs in every community. The boot camp cure. Veterans. Employ every single veteran in the boot camp cure. 100 million Americans are obese. Okay? Do the math there, guys. It'll create jobs in every community. The biggest stimulus, David T. Ossian, Ossian, Marine Corps League. Okay, he put his name in this book in his letter, so he knows the cure. He's bought 100 copies of this book and passed it out to Marines from San Diego to the East Coast. Why aren't all the veterans getting this? David Ossian holds these rap groups in his backyard, has a bunch of veterans come over. Why don't you pay him $5,000 a month for somebody to be a leader of that? And he can bring all the veterans in his community right over to his house. They can heal, they can get off the drugs, and you can stop suicide all across the country in a week or a month. That's all it would take. Okay? Let's do it, guys. Come on.